Alright guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about bulk fuel storage. These are the tanks that I have. I've had them for about a year. Wanted to talk to you about the difference between getting yourself some bulk tanks versus filling up at gas stations. Give you an idea of our operation, kind of how big it is. We've got the old Dodge, that's a diesel. I've got a Chevy gasser over there. 02. There's a 99 F350 diesel, Isuzu cab over diesel, Ford flatbed diesel, and then the Chevy 99 back over there, bucket truck, that's a gasser. Alright guys, let's talk about the specifics of bulk fuel storage and the difference between having bulk fuel storage on your site versus filling up at gas stations. Now I understand, before we have this conversation, we need to talk about zoning. Not everybody's going to have the ability to do this. You have to have the right zoning and permitting to be able to store bulk fuel on your property. So typically the zoning's got to be commercial, and it's going to need to be industrial, heavy industrial, or light industrial. Commercial retail is probably not going to work. Commercial office isn't going to work. If you're working on like a storage unit, that may not work. So you just need to check with your city to make sure that you are zoned correctly in order to be able to do this. So first, if you're zoned correctly and you can do it, here are some of the benefits of having bulk fuel storage on your property. Now, let's talk about the cost of the tanks. I bought mine used. I have a 500-gallon diesel tank. I bought it from a farmer up in northern Iowa. I paid $500 for the tank. Came with a pump. Then I've got a 500-gallon gas tank that I bought from a concrete company here in town. They had just swapped out their old tanks and were putting in new tanks. So I bought their old tank, which was perfectly fine. Actually had a brand new pump on it. I paid $500 for that tank, and it came with about 100 gallons of fuel in it. So my net was about $200. We had to run the line. I had a friend that was an electrician. Run the electricity onto it, and you got to bury the lines. You got to check your zoning, make sure it's dug to depth, all that stuff. I'm not an electrician, but just make sure that if you're going to install these, that you do it right. You got to have disconnects and certain piping. I think total for the supplies for the electrical were probably, I want to say, around $200. So all in, $500 per tank, another $200, probably $1,200 to $1,500. Now you can buy these new. You can get new tanks. They're going to cost probably around $3,000 per tank. I couldn't justify new tanks for that cost. I just didn't think I needed it. I'm all about going used, saving money. To me, a tank is a tank. Now I understand, guys, older tanks, you could have some issues with them, rust, whatnot. I haven't had any issues with my tanks so far. A good filter is key to the success with the tank. Anyway, so you can also, when you pick your fuel supplier, they will also lease you tanks. So there's the opportunity to lease the tank, rent it from them, or they will give you a tank and then you can pay off the tank for every, say for every gallon they put in your tank. A few cents of that will go back to paying back the tank. Now you've got to be running a ton of fuel to make that make sense. I mean, I think to pay off a tank, I looked into it, it was going to be like 20 to 25,000 gallons of fuel. I'm only going through 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of fuel a year. It took me 6 years to pay that off. So I just went the used tank. The other nice thing is if you own your own tanks, you can effectively switch suppliers. So if your supplier that you're dealing with doesn't work out, they're not giving you the service they want, or you just want to switch, if you own your own tanks, you just call the next guy and have them deliver fuel. If they are renting you the tank, leasing you the tank, or they own the tanks, then that's not going to happen. You're going to have them remove the tanks if you stop doing business with them. So that's just one thing to think about. So the other thing I want to talk about is savings. The main reason you need, or you should get fuel tanks if you can, are the savings. Now, I calculated that we were in fuel gas stations roughly 200 times a year, filling up our trucks, 200 times a year. Now you got two guys sitting in a truck, costing you fully loaded $20 an hour. So let's just say you got 30 minutes in time, two guys, 15 minutes, that's 30 minutes. That's costing around $20 for them to sit there and fill up the gas station. And you know, the thing is you got to figure out too is these guys have to stop what they're doing, go off the route sometimes, or will go off the route so they can stop and get gas. And also, they don't always run it down to empty. You know, they'll stop for fuel when it's, you know, I don't know, maybe half full. They just, efficiency isn't really, your employees are not thinking about efficiency. So in my case, 200 fill-ups cost me roughly $20 a fill-up, was $4,000 a year. So $4,000 a year of labor just going into sitting in gas stations. Now, are you going to be able to keep guys out of the gas stations? No, they're going to have to stop, they're going to have to go to the bathroom, they're going to have to eat. But the other thing too is just the confusion in the morning of, hey, what truck has gas, what truck doesn't, what mowers are fueled up. You're dragging 5-gallon fuel tanks back and forth from your shop. It's not much fun. Now, it's fine if you're a smaller owner-operator, it's easy, but when you start running 3, 4, 5 crews, it starts to be a real headache. Along with the fact in snow removal, if you're running multiple pieces of equipment, so say you got 4 skid loaders, tractors, trucks, having a transfer tank in the back of your truck with 100 gallons of fuel in it, once you're done fueling up at a property, you're done doing a property, moving to the next, you can quickly fill your skid loader up and move on to the next property. For a few years there, we were just basically taking 5-gallon jugs, filling them at the gas station, coming back, filling the skid loader. We all know 5 gallons doesn't fill a skid loader. So the efficiency of just having everything at your shop, the guys literally, they get done, they fill up, they pull the mowers off for the day, they fill up. Beginning of the week, you fill all your trucks up right at the shop. It's just so much easier. So if you guys have the ability, are zoned correctly, one, you can save money. One other thing I want to talk about is the cost of fuel. When I call my driver to deliver fuel, typically the cost of fuel, he's going straight to the pipeline where it's getting pumped into Des Moines, filling his truck, and heading to my shop. The price of fuel is typically within 5 to 10 cents of what the pump price is. So I've had it where I've actually paid 10 cents less to have it delivered at my shop versus the pump. Now it's been a little higher. To me, 5 to 10 cents, I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it for the savings and keeping guys out of the gas stations. The other thing I want to talk to you about is not having to have fuel cards for your trucks. You're not having to give guys fuel cards. You're not having to run fuel accounts. You're not having to keep track of all that stuff. Literally, they can fill up at the shop every day. You can also keep track of it. A lot of these pumps have meters on them, so you can keep track of how many gallons going out. And then it's much easier. You get one bill for your fuel every time you fill up. So it makes sense, guys. So to fill, I've got my tanks are 500 gallon tanks. So 500 gallons, just say $3 a gallon, $1,500 per tank, $3,000 to fill them up. I get the bill for them, pay it, and we're good to go for however many months. So those are some of the things about bulk fuel storage. If you guys got any questions, let me know. Leave some comments below. Appreciate you guys watching my channel. Have a great day.